The rainbow nails, a deadly weapon designed specifically to kill third-step great powers. These nails were forged from meteors that crossed from mysterious stars in the primordial outer cosmos. Inside them resides a trace of star power, a force so enigmatic that even the Palm Sovereign couldn't fully comprehend it. This power inflicts near-impossible levels of damage on third-step great powers. Even the former Lord of the Sealed Realm, after being struck by more than 90 rainbow nails, was on the brink of collapse, nearly dying from the impact of this incomprehensible power. At this moment, if the rainbow nail had not fully integrated into the center of Waterpath Master's forehead, there would not have been a life-threatening danger to him. Wong Lin could only break through by an inch. For Waterpath Master, this would drain some of his cultivation, but was enough to force the nail out. However, the Stone Elder of the Wind Immortal Realm's avatar arrived unexpectedly, and with a single finger, the nail was driven 5 inches deep into Waterpath Master's forehead. This caused a tremendous blow, making him nearly lose control and fury. Using his formidable third-step cultivation, Waterpath Master barely suppressed his emotions. He planned to kill Wong Lin and retreat to heal in seclusion. But what he never anticipated was that, just as he was about to unleash his divine powers to destroy Wong Lin, a jade pendant appeared on Wong Lin's body. The shock it caused was no less than seeing heaven defying or witnessing its master. Yet, none of this led to despair for Waterpath Master. Until the appearance of that finger. Waterpath Master recognized that finger instantly. It was his master's finger. The realization made his soul tremble, and before he could beg for mercy, the finger descended with a thundering force, causing the rainbow nail lodged in his forehead to be driven deep into his skull. At that moment, as the rainbow nail was fully driven into Waterpath Master's forehead, it pierced through his skull and entered his mind. Immediately, the nail began to dissolve, and waves of 7-colored light began to fill every corner of his mind. At this moment, Waterpath Master's eyes, nostrils, ears, and mouth, his 7 apertures, burst forth with rainbow light, making his head look like a sieve with 7 small holes, radiating blinding 7-colored brilliance. Screaming in agony, Waterpath Master staggered back, his eyes filled with desperate struggle, battling against the rainbow light in his mind. But no matter how hard he resisted, the fusion of the rainbow nail was irreversible. In almost an instant, it turned completely into 7-colored liquid, spreading throughout his brain. The pain was excruciating. Waterpath Master howled, throwing his head back in anguish, his cries growing weaker as he was on the brink of losing his sanity. Master, you granted me the indestructible decree, saving me from 3 crises. Now, with the 3 crises past, you come to kill me. Cause and effect, cause and effect. Waterpath Master smiled bitterly as he retreated, his face becoming even more vicious. I won't accept it. After you die, I will reach the 3rd step. I am a great power of heaven and earth. I am the Lord of the Divine Sect. I will take your place. 15 billion disciples of the Water Path, explode for me. Give me all your devotional power. Resist the 7-colored void nail. Waterpath Master's voice was filled with fury as he rapidly retreated, tearing through the void and fleeing toward the Divine Sect. Behind him, the enormous cultivation star followed closely. Inside, the 15 billion disciples of the Water Path exploded, sending a surge of 3rd-step devotional power into Waterpath Master's body. It clashed with the 7-colored light in his brain, and deafening booms rang out as he retreated, until the sound faded away into the far reaches of the starry sky. Waterpath Master went mad, desperately resisting as his destruction was delayed, but in an instant, he vanished without a trace. The 5th-tier star domain quieted as he departed, the roaring sounds fading to nothingness, leaving a profound silence, as if no existence remained. Wong Lin's eyes slowly closed. He had shattered everything, and although he did not face Waterpath Master in the final battle to the death, the injuries from this fight were far worse than the ones he sustained in the Demon Spirit Land. His life force had been completely drained, his hair turned white, and he became an old man. The moment his eyes closed, the 3 whirlpools around his body were pulled back into him. The 5 sources of energy within him swirled, but no matter how much he tried, He could not recover the lost vitality. Just as his eyes closed, a vortex appeared in the center of his forehead, and the heaven-defying pearl slowly floated out. As soon as it emerged, the pearl melted and spread from his forehead, enveloping his entire body. At that moment, Wong Lin seemed to turn into a stone figure, an ancient statue, appearing frail and old. At the same time, the jade pendant that had been floating in front of him flickered, melting and entering Wong Lin's forehead, disappearing once again. Not far ahead, in the place where the trident had shattered, a shimmering crystal light flashed. The light converged into Wong Lin's right hand, disappearing instantly. In that very instant, from the location where the butterfly artifact spirit of the third god-shooting chariot had collapsed, a faint multicolored radiance shimmered into existence. Out of it, a hazy rainbow butterfly slowly formed, its wings struggling to flutter as it drifted toward Wong Lin. Upon reaching him, it dissolved into countless rainbow-hued crystalline lights that merged into his body. At the same time, the two black and white daggers that had previously shattered now reappeared, transformed by some mysterious force. No longer weapons of death, they became ephemeral, then morphed into two black and white fawns, gently merging into Wong Lin's petrified form. Everything had come to an end. Wong Lin's consciousness sank into darkness, descending into slumber. His body, under the strange power of the heaven-defying force, turned to stone. All his divine arts and spiritual power were lost. Drifting in the starry sky, he floated further and further away. The fifth-rank star domain had already collapsed. It was riddled with rifts that tore through heaven and earth, filled with ghostly winds and hidden whirlpools. Within this realm of extinction, Wong Lin's stone statue drifted aimlessly, carried ever farther into the void. No one knew how much time had passed, perhaps a day, 10 days, or a month. His aged stone form continued to wander through the remnants of the fifth-rank star domain. Sometimes caught in a whirlpool, it would spin violently and be flung far into space. Sometimes it passed through rifts, leaving cracks across its surface. Within the same devastated star domain, a woman had arrived days earlier. She had visited the battlefield where Wong Lin had fought Waterpath Master. Tears streamed down her face. "Was I too late?" she whispered, biting her lip until it bled. Her eyes filled with despair as she stared into the distance, as if her very soul had died with him. A shroud of deathly aura clung to her and would not fade. "Do you wish to save him?" came an aged voice, echoing softly from the depths of the starry sky and falling into her ears. Her body trembled. "He is not truly dead, yet he is also no longer alive. You must find the statue he has become. I will teach you a method, perhaps it will awaken him. But know that this method comes at a steep price." The voice weakened, fading as if it had never existed at all. Yet the words had ignited a brilliant, unwavering light in the woman's eyes. She wiped away her tears and began searching slowly through the fractured star domain. Time passed, 3 days, 10 days, 19 days, until on the 30th day, in a corner of the fifth-rank star domain, she saw it, a floating stone figure covered in scars. She embraced the statue. Her tears fell silently upon it, with no sound in return. Carrying the statue and her silent grief, she left, departing to a place no one could find, a place deep within the cloud sea, hidden in the star mist. No one knew what rank of star domain this was. It was a wild, untamed continent. This land teemed with fierce beasts. For countless years, few had ever discovered it. So when the woman arrived, the beasts roared in fury. Yet the moment the sound began, silence fell. As if an invisible aura radiated from the woman, every beast trembled at its touch and dared not make another sound. In a mountain valley in the northern reaches of the continent, she descended with the statue. She cleared the valley and settled there, silently gazing at the stone figure. From then on, she lived alongside it. Every day, she would stand before the statue, bite her fingertip, and smear her blood across its entire surface. The statue was rough, and her wounded fingers ached fiercely as they passed over it. But she kept her eyes locked on the statue's gaze, as if the pain didn't exist. The statue was human-sized. To cover it fully in blood required time and persistence. Often, halfway through, the blood on her fingers would begin to clot and form blood scabs. Whenever that happened, She would tear the scabs away and squeeze out more blood to continue. Again and again, the pain was unbearable, comparable to torture. Day after day, it exceeded even the most cruel punishments imaginable. Each time the statue was fully covered in blood, it would slowly absorb it. A faint glow would shimmer over its surface, as if some life force was returning. Even the weathered face began to subtly change. At first, it took an entire day for the statue to absorb the blood. But as time passed, it began to take just 10 hours. She would then begin the process anew. 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 7 months, a full year passed. For 1 whole year, she smeared blood on the statue twice a day without fail, missing not a single inch. Her meticulous care was strangely beautiful. Over time, the glow of the statue grew brighter. Its features began to shift, aging slowly reversed, faint traces of youth returning. But the woman herself had grown ever paler. So much blood had been lost, blood infused with her own primordial energy. She was like a blooming flower, slowly withering. He has lost his vitality. If it were ordinary life force, it could be restored. But what he lost was the vitality of his mind, his essence spirit, and his soul. If you wish to awaken him, you must nourish him with your own vitality. The woman stared silently at the statue, her gaze eternal. And at that moment, within his slumber, Wong Lin began to dream, a dream of his life, a dream of the heaven-defying path, and of a great destiny unfolding. In this place, only Wong Lin's formless soul remained. Lost and confused, he wandered slowly through the misty world, gradually fading away. One day, his soul would completely vanish, never to exist again. He was cold, a cold that grew stronger and stronger, slowly engulfing his entire soul. He didn't know how long he had been walking. There were no cycles of day and night here, and time itself seemed frozen, subtly different from the outside world. As he moved forward, he began to notice glowing bodies drifting past him in the mist, each embodying one of the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. It gave him a familiar feeling, as if everything here, all 5 elements, felt like home. This is the inverse heaven realm. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or perhaps 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Wong Lin's soul did not dissipate over what seemed like endless time. Through these countless years, in the inverse heaven realm, a warm, blood-colored light slowly permeated from all directions, dispelling Wong Lin's cold. It nourished his formless soul, gradually making it translucent, slowly taking shape. The confusion that had clung to him began to fade as well, dissolved by the blood light. He stared around, slowly recalling many things, especially the world he had seen nearly 2,000 years ago. The 5 elements here. I collected them. Wong Lin's confusion melted away in silence, replaced by the feeling of awakening from a dream. But even after awakening, he still felt like he was trapped in a dream. He silently sensed his surroundings and looked back. After an unknowable amount of time, he had wandered deep into the inverse heaven realm, with no way to return. Even if there was a way back, there was no exit. It seemed as if he were trapped here, waiting for eternity. Xun'er is here as well. Wong Lin had grown used to solitude, to the feeling of being the only one in the world. Here, he felt no discomfort. But I remember. I had already collapsed. Why am I here? Wong Lin furrowed his brow, looking at his body with a bitter smile. He saw his own form, half translucent, a shape formed purely from his soul. He also saw the warm blood light around him, constantly merging into his body, nourishing his soul, and allowing it to solidify. This blood light. Wong Lin stared blankly as the blood light flowed into him, filling him with warmth. This sensation was comforting, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't figure out what this blood light was. Could it be an extraordinary force from the inverse heaven realm that nourishes the soul? Wong Lin pondered for a moment, and this seemed to be the only explanation. But still, something didn't feel right. Just as he was about to think more deeply, a soft murmur suddenly drifted from the distance, deep within his dreamlike state in the inverse heaven realm. Hear, hear. Wong Lin's gaze sharpened. As soon as the murmur reached his ears, it transformed into a wave that reverberated through his soul. He stared ahead, his eyes flashing. This voice can stir the soul, but it's strange. I am the lord of the inverse heaven realm. I must see what this voice is. After a moment of hesitation, Wong Lin slowly began to move forward. He moved at a slow pace, for his body was a soul. Like the wind, he drifted forward, blending into the mist, vanishing at the distant end. His speed increased, and as he moved, he once again felt the constant presence of the blood light, following him and merging into his soul, making the warmth within him grow ever stronger. What exactly is this blood light? Wong Lin furrowed his brows, but he couldn't figure out its origin. As he moved faster, his speed exceeded that of lightning, a thunderous roar breaking through the mist. It was a speed far greater than he had experienced during the countless years of confusion. The mist unraveled and collapsed under his momentum, and Wong Lin rushed forward with unstoppable force. Time passed. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Wong Lin flew through the air. As a soul, he had no need to worry about energy consumption. This was the inverse heaven realm, and as its master, he was at ease here. The mist grew thinner as he advanced. Over the years, the blood light never once flickered or ceased. It continuously filled the space, nourishing Wong Lin's soul, causing it to solidify into something less transparent and more substantial. Yet, Wong Lin could feel that while the warmth of the blood light was still familiar, it was gradually weakening, slowly becoming colder. It was unclear how much time had passed, but during these years of Wong Lin's journey, the murmuring voice occasionally echoed, growing clearer with each passing moment. Here. Wong Lin moved faster. On this particular day, he suddenly came to a halt, staring intently ahead. Before him, within a faint mist, a towering gate appeared out of nowhere. He was no stranger to this gate. He had seen it several times before. The massive gate loomed within this heaven-defying world, stretching endlessly. Anyone standing before it would feel like an insignificant insect, utterly dwarfed by its presence. As Wong Lin neared, the massive stone gate rumbled loudly. The 2 doors slowly creaked open, revealing a vast crack in the space, the roaring sound reverberating around it. Here. The voice, now emanating from within this crack, was clearer than ever. At such a close distance, the voice reached Wong Lin's ears like ripples on water, distorting his essence spirit. It's really it. Wong Lin's pupils contracted as he fixed his gaze on the colossal stone gate. He fell silent. Over these years, he had always suspected this was the enormous gate that appeared due to heaven-defying circumstances. Though shocked, seeing it now didn't surprise him. In the past few years, as the blood light nourished him, his soul became more tangible, and more memories resurfaced. He recalled the jade pendant that appeared during his final battle with the Water Path Master. He also remembered Water Path Master's panicked words. This jade pendant, known as the soul-sealing jade, was the Master's personal possession. This mysterious item, which had baffled Wong Lin before, now seemed to hold the answer. He had wondered why the white-haired boy tried to kill him, but now, with his memories coming back, and following his battle with the Water Path Master, Wong Lin could clearly deduce the truth. The Water Path Master's master was none other than the Lord of the Sealed Realm, the previous ruler before the heaven-defying era. The white-haired boy, sensing the presence of his master, had come to kill Wong Lin. That's why, after devouring Wong Lin's blood, he had said he was not a reincarnation. The boy's soul-searching quest for heaven-defying was also aimed at finding his master and ending his life. Wong Lin understood everything now. That was why the white-haired boy had shown such panic upon seeing the jade pendant, his face drained of color in a terror he couldn't hide. And as for the Lord of the Sealed Realm, it was clear he was not truly dead. With Wong Lin's memories awakened, he recalled that after the jade pendant appeared, golden light from it transformed into a finger, and it was this finger that drove the colorful nails into the white-haired boy's forehead, severely injuring him before he fled in agony. Here, come in here. From the crack in the stone gate, the murmuring voice grew even clearer, spreading like the wind through the heaven-defying world. Who are you? Wong Lin's expression was calm as he gazed at the stone gate and spoke slowly. I am the Lord of the Sealed Realm, the Lord of the Sealed. Come in. I mean no harm. I won't hurt you. After a brief silence, the confused voice gradually uttered these words. Wong Lin's eyes flickered. He had a faint feeling that within this gate lay a shocking secret, a secret related to heaven defying, and perhaps a path that would allow him to leave this place. After a brief contemplation, Wong Lin stopped hesitating. His body swayed and rushed toward the giant gate. In the blink of an eye, he was near, stepping into the gap of the stone door and entering the towering gate. In the sea of clouds, within the second-tier star domain, on a remote and desolate continent, hidden in endless mist, few cultivators ventured here. It was barren, a true wilderness. On this continent, there was a valley, and within it, Liian May sat cross-legged on the ground. In front of her, a translucent stone statue lay, blood smeared across it. The bloodlight was slowly fading. Liian May's face was deathly pale, with no trace of color. Her blue hair lacked any luster. She slowly opened her eyes, her gaze hollow, filled only with sorrow. She raised her right hand. The 5 fingers cracked and dried, looking more like the withered hand of an old woman than a young girl's delicate hand. Tearing off the unhealed blood scabs on her fingers, Liian May's lifeless eyes slowly regained their brilliance and determination. She once again smeared the statue's body with her blood. For years had passed, and for these 4 years, Liian May had not left this place for a single step. She had silently stayed here, silently nourishing the statue with her blood. For years ago, she had only needed to apply blood once a day, with 10 hours of rest. Now, after the statue grew more translucent, it required more blood. She often had to apply blood 4 times a day, leaving her with less than 4 hours of rest. "I will make you wake up." Liian May stared at the stone statue, her eyes devoid of tears, only cracks that seemed like dried remnants of long-lost tears. Over these 4 years, she had asked herself countless times, was it worth it? She couldn't answer herself like she had once answered her master's question. She didn't know if it was worth it or not. She only knew that, vaguely, a voice from her past life seemed to be waking up beside her. In her century-long battle, it whispered to her, calling her, slowly allowing her to glimpse the image of herself as a fish beneath the water, watching a bird flying away into the distance. At this moment, he stepped through the gate of ascension within the inverse heaven realm. With a single step, it felt as though he had entered another world entirely. Before him lay an endless starry sky, one devoid of mist, and instead filled with brilliant nebulae, showcasing an unparalleled beauty. This starry sky was eerily quiet, eerily still. And for Wong Lin, it was all so unfamiliar. "You are the third to step through this gate." The whispering voice slowly drifted across the silent expanse. The moment it spoke, countless stars began to flicker in the sky, exploding violently from each star, their light gathering before Wong Lin and forming into a massive vortex of starlight. "Come in, my third fated one." Wong Lin's gaze flickered, and after a moment's hesitation, he stepped into the swirling vortex. The moment he did, his soul seemed to dissipate. When he reappeared, he found himself before a vast blue sky and a black earth beneath him. This was a land above the stars within the gate of ascension. The earth was black, but dotted with patches of grass. A gentle wind blew, rustling the blades. The sky above was a deep blue, devoid of clouds, as though the sea itself hung upside down. Before him stood a colossal ancient tree, its height reaching to the heavens. A greenish light emanated from its trunk, but it could not hide the cracks and damage that marred its surface. The massive tree seemed to have lost all vitality, slowly dying as it struggled for life. Wong Lin gazed at the tree and took a sharp breath. "This is the treasure of my life's nirvana tribulation, transformed into this form. Only in this way could I have survived until now." The voice from within the tree echoed, resonating through the sky and earth. Wong Lin's heart shook as he stared at the enormous tree. Its size was enough to rival the ancient gods. "I come from the ancient immortal domain, a name I've long since forgotten. After descending, people called me the Lord of the Sealed Realm, or the Sovereign of the Sealed Realm. Before you, 2 others have entered here. I do not know their names, but those who enter here are all fated. To the first to arrive, I gave unparalleled Taoist arts, granting her my understanding of heaven and earth. To the second, I gave half of a rule body, bestowing upon him extraordinary talent. You are the third cultivator to enter here. What is it that you seek?" Wong Lin remained silent. After a long while, he slowly spoke, his gaze fixed on the enormous tree. Was it you who repelled Water Path Master? If you hadn't found the jade pendant that I once lost, I would have been unable to help you. But since you found it, I could channel some of my remaining power through it. That Dao slave once betrayed me. I gave him 3 chances of indestructibility, and after the last one was used up, I took action. Why help me? Wong Lin pressed down the shock in his heart and asked without revealing his emotions. The giant tree fell silent. After a long pause, the voice spoke once more, carrying a sense of age and weariness. Long ago, in the time of the ancient stars, there was no distinction between the inner and outer realms. Within this vast and boundless starry expanse, there was a sacred land known as the Ancient Immortal Domain. The Ancient Immortal Domain ruled over these stars, educating all the races. When beings within the stars reached a certain level, they could ascend to the Ancient Immortal Domain, becoming its citizens. Everything was cyclical until a treasure from another star brought about a cataclysmic change. This change split the Ancient Immortal Domain, dividing it into 2 parts, and eventually, both vanished. The path to ascension was sealed, and all passages were blocked. Moreover, this caused the ancient star to split as well, creating the inner and outer realms. A grand formation, the Realm Core Formation, was established to seal the 2 worlds. The split portion of the Ancient Immortal Domain became the sacred land of the outer realm. Within the inner realm, another portion of the Ancient Immortal Domain remained, and it is from there that I have come. Wong Lin's mind reeled at these words. Such secrets were known by very few, and he had never imagined that the inner and outer realms were so intricately connected. The Ancient Immortal Domain had split in the cataclysm, causing the ancient star to also divide, becoming 2 stars, the inner and outer realms. The Ancient Immortal Domain suffered tremendous losses during that upheaval, countless falling. Even the ancient immortal emperor, who existed from the dawn of the world, was gravely wounded by that treasure and went into seclusion, never again to concern himself with worldly affairs. But the portion of the ancient immortal domain that was separated, led by the 9 immortal consorts, continues to eye the inner realm. What they seek is that treasure from long ago. They desire the path to the inner realm's ancient immortal domain. As one who came from the inner realm's ancient immortal domain, I arrived to lead all beings within and resist the invasion from beyond. I was to battle them, but before I could complete my mission, I was ambushed by Dao Slave, working in collusion with the people of the outer realm and certain figures from their ancient immortal domain. I was severely injured. Eventually, one of the immortal consorts made her move, obliterating my physical body. I had no choice but to enter the inverse heaven realm and preserve what remained of me through the power of my treasure. Heaven Defying, what is it? Wong Lin's mind trembled, and he quickly asked. It is the treasure that triggered the great upheaval and division of the ancient immortal domain back in the day. That item from the outer stars is Heaven Defying. However, the true Heaven Defying is a compass, on which there are 9 supreme treasures of heaven and earth. When we obtained the Heaven Defying compass, it only had 3 of the treasures. The Heaven Defying pearl, the item placed at the very center, was one of them. After the division, the ancient immortal domain within the realm got 2 of them. As a Dao immortal, I must lead the battle between the inner realm and the outer realm, and the immortal emperor granted me this heaven-defying pearl. But I am not the first master of this heaven-defying pearl. After countless millennia of research, I discovered that before me, there were 2 other masters of this heaven-defying pearl, each of whom was far superior to me, and they were likely cultivators from the outer stars. Moreover, I deduced that this heaven-defying pearl is the most important item on that compass. Unfortunately, the immortal emperor is in seclusion, unable to learn everything. Otherwise, if he had studied it, he could have unraveled the final secret of Heaven Defying and found the location of the primordial divine realm. The primordial divine realm? Wong Lin had already learned many earth-shattering secrets, each enough to shock him. After just hearing about the ancient immortal domain and Heaven Defying, now he had to learn of this ancient divine realm. The primordial divine realm should exist. I don't know much about it either. Right now, my life force is exhausted, and I should have died long ago. But my mission is not yet complete. The immortal emperor is still in seclusion, and the ancient immortal domain is still sealed. We cannot allow those from beyond the realm to invade and disrupt it. The consequences would be unimaginable. The two who entered here before did not become the next masters of heaven defying. They were merely pawns in my game. But you are different. You have already merged heaven defying with your essence spirit, becoming its true master. Therefore, I will help you. I will make you the sovereign of the sealed realm, and you will guard the seal and resist the invasion from beyond the realm until the immortal emperor awakens and the ancient immortal domain seal is lifted. After I help you, I will dissipate completely, merging with the nirvana tribulation treasure you found and the jade pendant you carry, fusing them into the realm core formation, strengthening its power and giving you the time to grow. If you can achieve this great feat and present heaven defying to the immortal emperor when he awakens, he will reward you greatly, and you will fulfill all your wishes. Even the woman you placed in the heavenly coffin can be reborn, and she can awaken. Wong Lin suddenly raised his head and stared at the giant tree, falling silent. This person has certainly been observing me for a long time. He knows everything about me, and he knows my desire to revive Xun'er. He's using this to try to make me submit to the so-called immortal emperor. If I hand over heaven defying when the immortal emperor awakens, I will be completely controlled by him. Everything will be at his mercy. If he's happy, Xun'er may be resurrected. If he's unhappy, he could erase both of us. How could I do such a thing? But now, if I want to leave here, I must agree to some terms with this person. He does not have ill intentions toward me. He's simply extremely rigid. Even after Water Path Master betrayed him, this person stubbornly missed the chance to eliminate the traitor due to the previous 3 words of indestructibility, which led to the current situation. What can you offer me? Wong Lin fell silent for a moment and slowly asked. As soon as his words fell, the giant tree shook violently, releasing an overwhelming pressure that seemed to shake the heavens and the earth. The pressure transformed into a storm, rushing straight toward Wong Lin, instantly enveloping him, and with a violent pull, it dragged him back into the tree's interior. I have comprehended heaven defying for many years, and it contains too many secrets that I cannot fully uncover. But I can extract the primordial outer star power from heaven defying, leaving a mark in your soul. Though this won't let you soar to the heavens, it will allow you to enter the Tao realm, and from there, you can develop your understanding of the heavenly Tao. How much transformation you can achieve depends on you. The aged voice echoed, shaking the world before gradually fading. Time passed, and the wheel of years turned. In the blink of an eye, spring faded into autumn, and days and months passed. Another 2 years slipped by. On the barren continent of the second stage star domain in the Sea of Clouds, Liian May accompanied the stone statue of Wong Lin, slowly but surely walking through the passage of 6 years. 6 years seemed slow for mortals, but in the blink of an eye, 10 years could pass. For cultivators, 6 years were like a fleeting moment, but for Liian May, these 6 years were spent coating the stone statue with blood every day. 6 years felt like 600. Her beauty remained, but it had become frail, her body gaunt and worn. Yet her eyes still held a firm, unwavering determination. Now, her rest time was less than 2 hours a day. In those 2 hours, she meditated wholeheartedly, trying to recover some vitality before continuing to paint the statue. Her emaciated appearance, like a withered flower, made everyone who saw her heartache deeply. You promised me you would send my... Liian May murmured softly, almost to herself, yet it felt as if she was speaking to the stone statue that Wong Lin had become. The memories of her time with Wong Lin over the past 6 years surfaced again and again in her mind, becoming increasingly vivid. Yet, she often found herself questioning why everything had come to this point. She couldn't comprehend it, yet Wong Lin's image sank deeper into her heart. What occupied her thoughts more were the moments in meditation, where she couldn't shake off the image of the fish below the water, its eyes quietly watching the birds flying above the surface. When one of those birds landed, shivering its feathers and drinking, its gaze met that of the fish beneath the water, and although it lasted only a moment, it felt eternal, lingering in Liian May's mind. Do past lives really exist? She bit her lip, now devoid of tears. She wiped the blood scabs on her 10 fingers again on the statue of Wong Lin, smearing it with blood. Time slipped by, almost imperceptibly, until a year had passed. In that year, the rate at which the stone statue of Wong Lin absorbed blood increased rapidly. Liian May found she had only half an hour each day to rest. The rest of the time was spent gazing at the statue, and before the blood was fully absorbed, she would have to apply more. Again and again. This year's effort almost equaled the entirety of the previous 6 years, and Liian May's body became even weaker. There was little time for recovery, and she gradually dissipated her life force through this constant expenditure. The pills in her storage dimension dwindled over these 7 years. She had consumed them all, turning them into primordial energy to sustain her vitality. Yet the consumption of these pills could not compare to the rate of her daily decline. Even with an abundance of pills, it would be useless, because right now, Liian May had no time to assimilate them. Each day, she had just half an hour. If a lapse occurred due to the pills after these 7 years of relentless effort, her hard work would be wasted. Liian May's face was dull and lifeless, lacking any sparkle, except for the persistence in her eyes. She didn't ponder the worth of her actions. She simply knew she needed to do this, and she continued without regret. That was enough. After one more application, Liian May took a pill from her storage bag, quickly placed it in her mouth, and seized every moment to digest it. After half an hour, she ceased trying to absorb any more potency and let the effects dissipate, barely gathering some primordial energy to stimulate her body to produce more blood, and began applying it again. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. A woman, with her resilience, her dedication, and her unwavering determination, endured through 8 years. She didn't have the hundreds of years of lonely waiting that Li Muin once faced, nor the solitary music from her guqin, but she possessed the same steadfastness, enduring the passing of 8 years until the end of her life. You still haven't answered my third question. I haven't heard you speak the third question yet. Liian May bit her lip and continued applying the blood, over and over again, until it felt eternal. After 8 years, she lost even that half hour of rest. The statue, formed from Wong Lin, reclaimed blood at an alarming rate. Almost immediately after applying, it would be completely absorbed. Liian May had no time to hesitate or sit in meditation before beginning the next round of blood application. This method only made her more haggard, with no time to rest or meditate, relying solely on her shattered nirvana cultivation while depleting her own life force. For a woman to do this, if one were to question the worth of it, would be a desecration. She had lost the ability to think, ceasing to ponder anything, save for the memories of her connection with Wong Lin, which transformed into a source of strength, keeping her afloat through the 8th year. Yet, compared to the 8th year, the 9th year proved most terrifying. The rate at which the stone statue absorbed blood reached an awful level, often disappearing before she could finish applying it fully. This exceeded Liian May's limits. Even with both hands engaged, she couldn't keep up with the fading. Upon realizing this, a look of despair crossed her face. Without hesitation, she bit her tongue, unleashing her essence blood. Essence blood was of utmost importance to a cultivator. Its quantity determined everything. It did not reside in the limbs, but existed at the tip of the tongue, near the heart. A single drop here equated to the entirety of one's blood. Once she expelled the essence blood from the tip of her tongue, Liian May crossed her legs, formed hand seals, and transformed the blood into a mist, enveloping the stone statue. Only through such intense expenditure could she keep up with the statue's absorption rate. Each time she expelled essence blood, her face grew paler, and her body grew more emaciated, skin stretched over bones. The peerless beauty she once possessed had long since faded. But everything changed again in the second half of the 9th year. The stone statue that Wong Lin had become began absorbing at an even faster rate. Even the essence blood from her tongue was no longer enough. Liian May's body was extremely frail. Despair flickered in her eyes, but she clenched her silver teeth, raised her right hand, and summoned a small silver sword. Without hesitation, she stabbed it fiercely into her own chest. Not just the tongue, but now her heart's blood as well. The searing pain pierced straight to her soul, making her body tremble violently. Yet none of this made her stop, only left her even weaker. It was with such unimaginable methods that Liian May survived the 9th year, and entered the 10th. That voice once said, "If I could last 10 years, he might awaken." Now, there's only 1 year left. 9 years had transformed Liian May into a completely different person. With the arrival of the 10th year, not even blood from her heart or tongue could nourish the stone statue any longer. Liian May chose the primordial spirit Tao blood, the very essence she had cultivated all her life. It was the fusion of her comprehension of the heaven and earth energy into her essence spirit. Refined to its purest form, it no longer resembled blood, but carried a breath of life far more precious. It held every last thread of vitality she possessed. In this final year, she did hesitate. But when her eyes fell once more on Wong Lin's stone statue, that hesitation melted into a soft smile, just like the one she wore the very first time they met. It was radiant, unforgettable. "There's another woman in your heart. I won't fight for your affection, nor will I make you choose. For her, you've suffered deeply these years. How could I force you? Whether you care for me or not, it doesn't matter. There are things in this world that can't be reasoned through, that can't be changed." If she had come in these 9 years, perhaps she would have done the same. She might have even done it better than me. Even that Mu Bing Mei, if she knew everything, if she came here, I believe she would have done the same. I asked for nothing. I only wanted to fulfill the image that kept appearing in my heart. In a past life, you were the bird, and I the fish. Over the years, I've thought about so much, come to understand so much. Maybe it's just an illusion, but I saw it clearly. In that hazy vision, you, transformed into a bird, descended twice to the surface of my wandering waters. Once to drink, once because you were wounded and fell. And I used all my strength to push you to the shore, so you could breathe and take flight again. Liian May smiled gently as she gazed at Wong Lin's statue. Then she closed her eyes. In that instant, her essence spirit stirred. A vortex spun open at the center of her brow. From within, strands of Tao blood slowly emerged, drifting over and covering Wong Lin's body. Liian May, like a fallen blossom in the wind, withered ever faster. Yet this 10th year stretched on endlessly, longer than all 9 years before it combined. In the 9th month of the 10th year, Liian May opened her eyes. She stared at the statue in silence for a long, long time. Eventually, she rose and looked up at the sky, as though watching scenes from her past life, where she'd pushed the injured bird back onto the shore. With a faint shake of her head, Liian May took off a jade pendant hanging from her neck. Within it was her life soul. Gently, she hung the pendant onto the stone statue. "I gave everything I had, and still couldn't help you through these last 3 months. I just can't anymore. But I know this. Any cultivator who was once acknowledged by the demon sect, if they fall on the battlefield, their soul blood, stored by the Grand Elder's divine art, can be used to reshape the soul and be reborn. Back then, I was recognized by the demon sect. I left my soul blood behind. If I can retrieve it now, perhaps it can help you survive these final 3 months." Liian May looked long at the statue that was once Wong Lin. Only after a while did she shift her gaze. She took out 9 flying swords from her storage dimension, planting them around the valley to form a sword formation. It was her strongest treasure, one that had once slain countless fierce beasts on the battlefield. Leaving the formation as a guard, Liian May bit her lip, swallowed a pill to suppress her weakness, and sped off. For the first time in 10 years, she left the valley, left the primordial continent, and headed straight for the 9th rank Star Domain Demon Sect. My time is short. The Life Soul Jade Pendant can only last about a month. Within that month, I must retrieve the soul blood. But it won't be easy. Liian May transformed into a rainbow streak and vanished into the starry sky. The stone statue that was once Wong Lin, she could not take it with her. 3 years ago, it had already fused with the primordial continent, becoming one with it. Liian May never returned again. The final 3 months slowly passed by. Within the valley, the figure of the woman who had once been there was no longer present. It seemed that with her departure, the valley had become lonely, and the roars of the fierce beasts on the continent grew more intense, as if they were heading towards the valley. However, under the sword formation made up of 9 flying swords, any fierce beast that stepped into the valley was met with a tragic scream before meeting its demise. Slowly, the beasts retreated and no longer dared approach. One day, 2 days, 3 days. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. The jade pendant left behind by Liian May hung around the neck of the stone statue that had been transformed from Wong Lin. It emitted a gentle glow, as if Liian May had never left, nourishing the statue of Wong Lin. Carrying her warmth, her touch over 10 years, and her heart, it transformed into a force that accompanied the stone statue of Wong Lin, standing silently beside it. On the 11th day, 12th day, until the 20th day, Liian May still hadn't returned. It was as if she had vanished into the heavens and earth, leaving no trace, as if she had never existed in this valley. Only the sword formation and the jade pendant bore witness to everything of the past. The valley remained quiet, with only the statue emitting a crystalline glow, faintly illuminating the surroundings. The light from the jade pendant flickered, but it too began to grow dimmer, as if the flame of a candle blown by the wind, ready to extinguish at any moment. Time passed slowly. On the 27th day after Liian May's departure, in the rare starry sky of the primordial continent, an elderly woman dressed in white appeared. Her face was dark with a heavy expression, and in her hand, she held a jade slip. As she walked, she occasionally checked her direction, gradually getting closer to the primordial continent. A day later, through the mist in front of her, the primordial continent, where Wong Lin resided, came into view. The elderly woman snorted coldly and took a step forward. In an instant, her figure vanished. When she reappeared, she had already stepped onto the continent. As soon as her feet touched the ground, the elderly woman immediately spread out her divine sense, releasing the aura of her perfect shattered nirvana stage, sweeping across the primordial continent. In a split second, she found the valley she had been searching for all this time.